Black unity is a threat to a system that was built of a black disunity and exploitation.
When FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover was asked what is his opinion was the single greatest threat to the United States of America.
Notice what he said. The question was asked, Mr. Hoover, what is the single greatest threat to the United States of America? His response was what?
He responded, Negro Unity.
So Negro Unity is the single greatest threat to the sovereignty of this country. He put that there. And he said it's a threat to the ongoing operations. What has actually been done, you basically put a target on all of our backs. Because the quote-unquote real Americans want their country to continue to flourish. But every time they see a brown face, you're the reason why my country is in trouble.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching me from. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you are doing great wherever you are. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, black people, have you ever realized that the unity of us is a threat to the white system? Have you ever realized the unity of black people is a threat to white people? Have you ever realized silence of black people is a threat? There's a video I did some few days ago where I was talking about the silence of black people is a threat to white people, or white people are scared of black people silence because they don't know what is coming. They don't know what your strategy is. Let's talk about the unity of black people. And black people uniting can be a threat to a lot of, first of all, if African countries can unite, will be a threat to the Western countries, will be a threat to the Western powers. If black people unite, black Americans unite, will be a threat to the white America. If the Caribbeans unite, will be a threat to the white America. So the unity of black people, and that's why each and every time they always dismantle our unity. They are trying so hard to keep us apart, but little do they know that we as black people, we are restructuring. We are coming back stronger and we are uniting. First of all, let's watch these clips and then we'll come back here and try to talk something about it. I love you.
Let them know that every group on this earth understands that you're in a team relationship. Racism is a team sport. It came into existence as a team. You play as a team or you lose by default. And only with black folk do people get upset when black folks start talking about coming together and uniting and working together and cooperating together, buying from each other and supporting each other. You know why? For a simple reason that everybody understands. When you come together and unify, that signifies strength. And right now, everybody right now is pimping and hustling black folk. They've been pimping and hustling black folk for 400 or 500 years. We spend approximately 97% to 98% of all our money outside of our own community, as an example. And we don't practice group economics. We don't practice group politics. All that makes, when we spend 98% of all our money outside of our community, what that does, it makes the other groups enriched. They now are living off of two incomes. They live off of 100% of their money and 98% of our money. And what are we left with is 2%, where everybody else is living off of 198% of everything. We live off of 2%, which makes it impossible. And so you start talking about unifying black folk, that's a threat. They're saying, you're gonna cut off your money from us? You're gonna cut off, we're living off of two incomes. You're gonna reduce us down to one income? That's a threat to them. Also, it's a threat when you start talking about unifying blacks and looking out for your own people. That means political possibility of uniting as a political force in this country, which nobody wants to see. That's a threat, because all the rest of the people in society are living privileged lifestyles based on what they came in here and got as immigrants. Black folk never had those lifestyles. So yes, it's a threat to them.
We always talk and never vote. Black folks don't vote because it's already rigged. But if black people ever was to organize and put forth a vote and we on one accord, that's a lot of power. That is a problem. It will be a threat to the system. If all black people came together and had an agenda and we had our own political part, it would be a whole nother level, bro. It would get dangerous. And white folks would panic. Any sign of unity, I just want to make, not just political, any sign of black folks getting together and we ain't shooting each other up or shooting up the club, and we standing together and loving each other and coming up with a solution to our problems, is the most dangerous threat in America. We ain't but 12% of the population, but our unity is the most dangerous threat to America. It ain't Putin. It ain't Russia. It ain't North Korea. It ain't China. Even though we owe them a lot of money, The biggest threat to America is black people being united.
There was a security memorandum that came out, I think it was in the late 70s, early 80s, where the U.S. government, in a private security memorandum that has now been published now, said the greatest threat to American foreign interests is what? The operational unity of Africans in America and Africans in Africa. This is the government. Our biggest threat is if we let the blacks on that side of the Atlantic Ocean organize.
This is a memo?
Oh, it's a memo. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I could probably get you the numbers. It's not on the top of my head right now. Absolutely.
Right.
Some people have even published it in books. It's definitely on the internet. People have referred to it. So they basically said, in essence, Pan-Africanism is our only problem. They don't care about nothing else. People pushing religions, people pushing socialism. They don't care about that. Pan-Africanism is the only threat to white supremacy.
And so for all of you people out there that think that black people are only in crime-ridden areas, that are destitute, that have drugs running rampant, you're absolutely wrong. But let's go back to the root of the problem. Because when we came out of the Civil War and after Reconstruction, we had communities like this all over the country, just like we do now. But what happened? Every time we got to this place, what did the powers that be do? They came, they bombed, they burned down, they got jealous. And in spite of that, we still thrived beyond. Gary Webb, he was an investigative reporter for the San Jose Mercury, and he exposed the CIA's involvement in putting drugs in the black community. And this guy committed suicide by shooting himself twice in the back of the head. You do realize in 1955 that J. Edgar Hoover said the biggest threat to America was Negro Unity. So all of this is by design.
If you want to go to Nigeria to go and try some business opportunities or anything of that sort, wake up in the morning and go. Why are the Europeans allowed to do it? They eat breakfast in Milan in Italy and go and sleep in Paris without a hassle. And we are not allowed because the unity of Africa is a threat to certain people. And they say, no, these foreigners take our jobs and all of that. I say, if we find a foreigner working here at Kaya FM, he didn't employ himself. He was employed by the bosses here. So you cannot fight this one. You have to fight the bosses that we must be given a preference. Let's not allow them to make us fight amongst ourselves because they enjoy that. They hire foreigners and then they come to you and say, you can't get jobs because foreigners have taken jobs all over. But who employs these people? It's the same people who are saying foreigners have taken jobs.
One of the beautiful things about Black Lives Matter, no matter what you think about their tactics, what do you think about their ideology, is that they're engaged in a politics of disruption. They're engaged in a politics of disruption. And so no one can sit on the sidelines. The top 0.1% can't have their brunch on Sunday in Manhattan without them showing up. You can't drive to work or drive home without them suddenly shutting down a highway. You can't even walk into the Union building at your local police station in New York without them locking arms and blocking the entryway. It's a politics of disruption designed to make us all uncomfortable. But let me just say this. If you're concerned about justice, if you're committed to this justice work, right, there's no way you can sit on the sidelines. And if you do, then you are complicit in evil. That's as strong as I could put it.
You speak a lot about fear of one another, and the habit of fear into which we have fallen over these generations. How do we, black folks and white folks, how do we set aside fear? How do we deal with that? We got a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, we have to understand our power. Every election cycle, they want us to, all of us, to vote from a place of fear, as opposed to a position of power. They want us to believe that democracy is really about the Beltway and not about us, right? They want us to believe that democracy is about the Beltway and not about us. The beauty of the Bernie Sanders campaign, didn't Minnesota go for Bernie Sanders? The beauty of the Bernie Sanders campaign is that it revealed that if we're organized, we can produce better choices. People get it twisted. They think Bernie caused the energy. In fact, the energy caused Bernie. Right? When we understand our power, We don't have to occupy Zuccotti Park, but we can understand the power of everyday ordinary folks standing in solidarity with each other. White workers, black workers, all of our wages have been stagnated. White workers, brown workers, black workers, all of our homes aren't worth a damn. All of us can't afford to send our kids to college. All of us would love to have a living wage. All of us would love not to have crooked politicians robbing the public coffers in the name of their own private greed, right? What we are facing, and I'm going to be really quick here, no I'm not. What we're facing here is seriously what the new economy represents. The new economy doesn't care, right, that you're committed to the value gap. The new economy, right, has produced all of these white folks who are increasing suicidality, strung out on opioids, right, trying to figure out their future. And then they've migrated a discourse. You've read that book on white trash? They've migrated a discourse of personal responsibility and dysfunctionality to white poor workers, white poor people. See, they're not responsible. They just want a handout. They're strung out on drugs. They're lazy, right? There is a sense in which we can stand in solidarity together if, and David Brooks just talked about this in his column just the other day, if we can give up the racial wedge issues, if we can give up the value gap. We got to vote from a position of power. We got to act from a position of power, not from a place of fear.
Question from a student, apologizing that she or he has written this in orange, but I think I can read it. I'm white, as is my family. They feel deeply that they have experienced racism toward themselves. How do I speak to them about telling them this is wrong?
You know, Donald Trump just used this formulation in response to Hillary Clinton's claim about the basket of deplorables. That he said in response that she expressed bigotry, right, and prejudice toward a large number of Americans, right? And this has been one of the interesting rhetorical shifts since the 1960s of describing white people as the victims of racial discrimination. And it's really a critical feature of the alt-right, which is just the latest branding of white nationalist. Right? That is to say that wherever you see anti-racist or anti-racist policy and organizing, they believe anti-racism is anti-white. Right? And what we have to do is historicize that formulation to show what it's really trying to do. Is to get people to invest in the value gap, right? To get people to invest in the idea that whiteness accords you a special set of benefits. And let me say this, as long as we believe that racial equality is a zero-sum game, we will continuously find ourselves in this moment. If racial equality means simply taking stuff from white people and giving it to undeserving black people or brown people, then we will continuously produce this kind of resentment. So we have to tell the truth. It's not about taking stuff from deserving people and giving it to undeserving people. It's about justice. It's about a society predicated upon just arrangements. If you think historic double-digit unemployment in black communities is the result of black people being lazy, then you're actively disremembering. The fact that we were locked out of labor unions, the fact that we were locked out of specific sectors of the economy, right? The fact that my daddy couldn't go to Princeton, couldn't be there. If you think a dual housing market, the fact that the wealth gap is 13 times, white wealth is 13 times that of black wealth, if you think that's because black people are lazy, then you don't understand the history of residential segregation in this country. How we couldn't gain access, even if we fought for the nation of overseas in World War II, we couldn't gain access to mortgages. There is a history, right, of discrimination that defines inequality in this country. So we have to not disremember. We have to tell the truth. That's a long-winded answer, but you got it, I hope.
Who's the successor to Martin Luther King Jr., and when is he or she going to take up that mantle, or is there a successor? In your book, you talk about Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Reverend Barber,
yeah, I'm
and
kind of
HNIC.
Oh, HNIC. Look at Rev. You hear? You see,
I
right?
read the book. I'm going to get some mileage out of it.
Yeah, we don't need another Martin King. Hold on. Listen to what I mean. We are the leaders we've been looking for. You see? And Rev, I'm going to put it in Christian language just for a moment, right? We want to, you know, it's inscribed on the soul. It's inscribed on the heart. We don't want priestly models. All of you got it. You see? And this comes from the inspiration for the entire book is Miss Ella Baker, the great organizer who gave room for the formation of SNCC, right? The Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. She had a fundamental faith in the capacities of everyday ordinary people, right? That if we give them the space, quick story, they're going to register to vote in Ruleville, Mississippi. And folk are scared out of their wits. The great Bob Moses told me this story. Folks are scared because they knew what they were driving into. And this person in the back of the bus was sang every spiritual she knew. And then they realized what she was doing. She was she was fortifying their spirits, trying to give them courage. And this was a sharecropper. It turned out to be Miss Fannie Lou Hamer. Everyday ordinary folks. We are the giants. We don't need anyone to lead us. We can lead ourselves. Come on. Come on.
Tavis Smiley spoke recently here at the Town Hall Forum. He reported that the position of African Americans has actually declined economically and other ways during the 8-year tenure of our first African American president. Why is that?
Somebody trying to get me in trouble. In the book, I'm hard on President Obama. I'm hard on him. I call him a Melvillian confidence man, selling the snake oil of hope and change. The last 8 years have been rough. You know, I'm from the South. And, you know, as we were prone to say, when we look at the back of his head, we're going to face and confront the ruins of our communities. Julian Malvo has written an extraordinary text entitled, Are We Better Off? And she says, in effect, no. Right? I mean, he's stemmed the tide of the loss of jobs. But when we look at the quality of life data, right, black folk aren't doing better. Right? And what I want to suggest is that he was constrained by not only the forces in the Beltway, but he was also constrained by his own choices. I think after the Republicans took hold of the Congress, there's no reason to try to be post-partisan. Go big, go bold, change the frame. There's a reason why Wall Street has been making historic profits over the last 8 years, and Main Street still finds its wages flatlined. There's a reason why Barack Obama, in his last State of the Union, was talking about the implication of inequality for the new economy. He understands what it means for everyday ordinary workers, but he hasn't changed the frame. He hasn't changed the frame. To my mind, Barack Obama is just simply a centrist Democratic, let me say it different. He's a centrist version of the DLC, the Democratic Leadership Council. He's just the latest extension of Clintonism. Now, I know we can fight over that. And that's what I want us to do, because this is what happened. We talked about this. Prior to 2008, there was a lot of grassroots energy out there with regards to the war. Remember this? Massive demonstrations in the streets and organizing in the streets. And before the anti-Iraq war protests, we had the WTO protest in Seattle. Folk were organizing across the country, trying to challenge the stranglehold of a certain neoliberal economic policy right on the country. Barack Obama jumped in front of it, and we green screened it. You know, this TV green screen? We made him everything we wanted him to be. We wanted him to be a war president. We wanted him to be, right, a populist in terms of his economic policies. But when you read The Audacity of Hope, he is who he is, who he said he was. And what happened when he got elected in 2008? We demobilized. We had to figure out what we were going to do. And it wasn't until Zuccotti Park and Occupy that we got that energy back. And then Black Lives Matter again. So part of it's a long-winded answer. I think we look at the data, we can answer the question that we have not improved, and much of it has to do with the fact that Barack Obama could not be seen as the black president, and two, because he is who he is. He's a centrist Democrat, invested in the frame as it is. And I'm not a centrist Democrat. And that's not to take away from the fact that he's the first black president in the history of the country. My baby grew up looking at him. But symbol is not substance.
We have time for one more question with a short-winded answer.
How can we get two more?
You've got a lot of energy for change.
Yes, sir.
And I hear in that energy hopefulness for America in spite of all of this. Where do you find hope? In us. There's a wonderful line in W.E.B. Du Bois's Souls of Black Folk. If you haven't read it, go read it. He calls it a hope unhopeful, but not hopeless. A hope unhopeful, but not hopeless. That's a blues-soaked hope. That's a hope that comes out of the tradition I come out of. That's a Bobby Blue Bland kind of hope. That's B.B. King saying, nobody loves me but my mother, and she can be jiving too. It's a blues-soaked hope, right? And that's how you can see beyond the opacity of now. That's my faith. My faith is in us because at the end of the day, it's in our hands. Together, you and me, together, it's in our hands. Thank you, Eddie Glaude Jr.
Welcome back. The power structures fear competition. Power structures fear competition. And the videos we have just seen here is about people realizing or giving our speech of how the unity can be scary to the white people. Once we are united as black people, first of all, what will come in their mind is that will they retaliate? They have time to pay back because we are strong if we are not united. And if we are united, we are much and much more stronger. So if we are giving them pressures, if we are not united, for example, black Americans always give pressure to the white system. So if black Americans are united with black Africans, are united with Caribbeans, we are all speaking one language, are all in the same line, how will it be? It will be the massive biggest threat. We will be the superpower, not only superpower. So they will make sure that we as black people, we are not united so that we can continue having that cracks between us. They will create stereotypes. The media will create false information. We will get false history. We will be, they will try so hard because the power structure fear the competition. Power structure fear competition. For example, the US and much of the Western world countries was built with a racial hierarchy. White on top, black at the bottom. If black people unite, they can start. So if black people unite, they can start controlling land, business, education, politics, media. That means that if black people unite, they can control the economy, can control the political, they can control everything. And that would mean sharing or even losing power. So in this case, something that historically many white people or many white leaders fought hard to avoid. It's not just racial hatred. It's also fear of losing control. So if white people lose control of what they are controlling right now, that means their political stability or their political influence will fall. Their economic influence will fall. And that is something they have been fighting for. The white leaders have not been fighting for the equal of everyone. The white Americans have not been fighting for the equal of everyone in America. No, they have been fighting not to lose power because they think or they feel if they lose power, there will be racial hatred and everything. And, they will lose control. Black people will retaliate. That's their biggest fear. And that's why each and every time they are watching our moves. So if we go silent as black people, it creates tension. They don't know where we are going, left or right. They don't know who we are choosing. They don't know what we are doing. If we are united, that means we will not be making noise. And if we don't make noise, they don't know our strategy. So the unity of black people is a threat to the white supremacy, a threat to the white people, a threat to the white system, a threat to the white leaders. So division is weakness, but unity is strength. Keeping black people divided is all they want to do. by classes, by colorism, by religion, you know. And this, it has made it easier for them to exploit us black people by dividing us by different religions, by dividing us by different racial, saying you are of this race, you are white, are brown, you are black, and brown, you are better than black. It weakens us more. And divided people, they don't organize. Divided people, they don't vote together. Divided people don't build wealth together. Divided people cannot make a strength. They cannot make anything. So, and that's what they're trying to do. Trying to divide us so that we cannot vote as block, trying to divide us so that we cannot organize, trying to divide us so that we cannot build wealth. So the wealth gap between black and white people, it's bigger and big. Because of what? Because of this. They don't let us unite. And by unity scares the system, because it will mean that stronger political blocks, stronger economic blocks, stronger cultural pride, and etc. You know what I mean? An historical example of black unity being attacked is, for example, Black Wall Street. I talked about Tulsa in 1921. Allow me to read that. A thriving black business destroyed by white mobs with the help of local government. Black Wall Street in 1921. The fear of this Black Wall Street being a force, and this will threat their economy. Another one example, Marcus Garvey, UNI, a movement pushed black pride and self-sufficiency. The US government targeted him heavily and deported him. The Black Panthers started free breakfast programs, community health clinics. They were labeled the biggest internal threat by the FBI, just by doing good things for the black community, just by giving free food for the black community, just by starting free clinics for the black community. It was a threat because they want you to continue lacking food, lacking good health. If you have good health as a black person, it's a threat. If you have enough food as a black person, it's a threat. If you have enough clothes, it's a threat. If you are living good, it's a threat. If your business is booming as a black person, it's a threat. If we are united, we can make this happen. Another example, after MLK started pushing for economic justice and uniting poor black and white workers, poor people complained. He became much more dangerous to the system and was assassinated. Poor People's Campaign. Now, get this right. If you are white people watching this video, get this right. MLK started pushing economic justices for poor black people and poor white people. Poor people movement. He was assassinated. There's something I've heard that? Poor white people. So, even the poor white people are being used. Your life is no better. Your life is like the same of the poor black people. But they cannot allow you to open your eyes and see that they are using you to create this hatred, using you to create racial hierarchy. Poor white people are being used to create this division between race. You are being told these guys or these poor or these black people are the ones who are making you poor. If you remove these black people out of your way, things will be good. So hatred is being created between these two communities. But even the poor white people are not benefiting. If the poor black people and the poor white people are being united, they will realize that we are being used. And that will be a threat. It will be scary to the white system, to the rich white leaders. Another thing, fear of revenge. White people also fear that if black people get too powerful, they might get revenge for slavery, segregation, and each and every other atrocities that happened. And that tells me one thing. That tells me that they know very well that they did this. But black people are not for that. Black people, we are here to create good life for us. Black unity is a threat to a system built on a black disunity and exploitation. You hear me? Black people or black unity is a threat to a system built on black disunity and exploitation. So we need to be united. And unity is all that will give us that economic freedom or economic liberation, political liberation, and everything. Let us not be divided due to our color. Let us not be divided because of our religion and everything. Let's stay stronger together. You get me? Black unity is a threat to a system that was built on black disunity and exploitation. So, each and every time black people are organizing, are coming together, trying to talk about things together, we cannot be allowed to do that because we are threat. And the last time I talked about the silence of black people, and we discussed the silence of black people. And let us normalize being silent. Let us normalize as black people not going to those protests. Let us normalize having a unity and organizing within our own self. Let us normalize having strong unity and organizing for our own self, because that will be a threat to them. And we as black people will come out, will have this wealth, we'll have the unity, we'll have political leaders, good political leaders. That is because we will be on our own space trying to sort things out. Whenever I see these fights between black people and South Africans, or black people and Africans, black people and Caribbeans, I get a lot of tension, because why are we fighting? Why should we not focus on uniting ourselves and bringing the change that we want? If our ancestors sold us to the other countries or to the slavery, it is time to repay back. And the only thing we can repay it back, or the only thing we can show our ancestors that we can make it, is by us uniting the cousins, the Africans, Caribbeans, white Americans, by us uniting and make sure that we bring to us the things that our ancestors didn't bring to us. We build the buildings that our ancestors were not able to build. We gather that wealth that our ancestors were unable to gather. Let us show the YT, let us show the system that we are stronger than the system. And we are the chosen people. We'll talk about the chosen people, because right now I see people starting to accept, I see the white people starting to accept that black people are the chosen one. Black people are the chosen generation. And it's good. It's good that we are sending message. And I have seen Ibrahim Traore thing that's going on with the United States of America. I have seen black Americans, Jamaicans, and Africans uniting on this cause. And that is the only thing we need to unite for. Unity of black people, Caribbeans, and Africa is all we want. Because once we are all united with that 3 blocks, that means we can bring about change in everything. Change in political, change in economical, change in business-wise. You know, we can be stronger. And we are not here of paying back of what they did. No. Black people are stronger enough. We have gone through a lot, through racism, through discrimination, we have gone through hell. So we are not here to pay back. We are here to make a brighter future for our kids. We are here to make a brighter future, or we are here to make a statement that black people are the prize. That's all we are here of, not about making revenge. Or are we here making revenge? No, we ain't making revenge. Because once you are saying, you say this, we are not the ancestors that we did this to you. And we accept that. You are not the ancestors that you did this to us, but you are still using what your ancestors took from us. So we are trying so hard to try to fill this gap. Okay? So tell me what you think on the comment section about this video. Until next episode, peace out. Tell me what you think on the comment section about this video. Until next episode, peace out.